Morning, Katribu. We are back here in for another episode of the Straight Talk. We have an esteemed guest today in the person of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Ben Diokno. I'm Chito Lozada, and on the other line is my colleague Bing Matoto. How are you, Governor?
Good, Chito. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been a long while. Sir, to get the ball rolling, can you give us an overview on how the rate setting of the BSP works regarding the economy, and how would it affect ordinary people? Kasi masyadong esoteric yung rate setting ng BSP.
Tama ka dyan, Chito.
Parang financial education.
In fact, yun ang isang objective ko dito sa BSP, bringing the BSP closer to the people. Kasi masyadong mataas nga Hindi maabot ng tao, no? Well, ang rate setting namin, usually, we meet every 6 weeks, yung monetary board to set the rate or to look at the policy rates, and nanggagaling yan first ang trabaho niya, nag-uumpisa yan sa tinatawag na advisory committee.
Yes,
this is a group of senior people. They crank out numbers during that 6-week period. So they look at international developments, domestic development. So they look at all sorts of data, the output, employment, capacity utilization. Every 6 weeks I read something like a 200 to 300 page document prepared by this group. No? And so we look at that, and then they come up with a recommendation, and then that is the basis for what we present to the monetary board.
Yes, sir.
And then, ganun ang proseso. So we have a group of really professional staff here at BSP that looks at not only what happens internationally, but what happens domestically. And so we had, in fact, our 6th meeting last Thursday, policy meet. We have 3 more coming before the end of the year. Ganon. And if you notice, during this year, walang pagbabago. We have kept the policy rate unchanged, and that's because the economy, while it has recovered, the recovery is still very fragile, and we promise that we will continue to support the economy until there's a strong basis for saying that it is now stable. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if it's growing constantly at around 6 to 7%, because that's where we are before the crisis, and then yung employment natin, if it's down to 6% maybe, and of course our inflation target has always been 2 to 4%, it's 3% plus or minus 1%. No? So yun ang mga indicator na we're doing well. In fact, ako tingin ko talaga, ang basa ko, the economy is sound fundamentally. It's just that pandemic. No? And to me, the key to the sustainable growth is the pace of vaccination. And yun, dapat talaga doon tayo nakatutok na pace of vaccination. Fortunately, paganda naman yung recent developments. We have, I get constant briefing from the Department of Finance kasi sila lang nagpo-control sa customs yung mga dadating ng mga vaccines. No? Our information is that at least 60 million doses will come in this month, no? As of the end of this month. And that we will be able to vaccinate 70% of our population, that's the adult population, before the end of the year. And we're doing well, kasi yung mga original forecast na napaka-pessimistic na 25,000, kasi naman noon, we vaccinate only around 55,000 per day. Ngayon, we can do 700,000 per day, And that's a tribute to the tawag namin dyan, health infrastructure. Alam mo, in other countries, yun ang problema nila. They have the vaccine, but they don't have the people to vaccinate. That's the situation in Japan, Tayo, with the national government, with the LGUs, and the private sector, we have shown that we can vaccinate 700,000 a day. And that's a good record. Tapos wala tayong we don't have the resistance that you observe in other countries. Pero mga Pinoy gusto magpa-vaccinate, di ba?
Pumipila pa nga.
Correct. Oh. And so, plus, ang isa pang positive factor sa atin, we have many suppliers of vaccine. Ito, sabilang ko, meron tayong Pfizer, may Moderna, may J&J, Sinovac, Sinopharm, Sputnik. Diba? In other countries, 1 or 2 lang sila ang supply nila. So, yun, given the diversified supply, maganda yung natin. In fact, our target nga is that we will vaccinate 70% our people on or before the end of the year. And I think that's doable.
So we are prepared.
To me, that's key, because it will restore confidence on the part of the consumers and the businessmen. And that's the key.
So I assume that the BSP and the other members of the economic team are preparing for an economic breakout. If the vaccine supply, the pace of the vaccination is maintained, and we hit the herd immunity as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're optimistic. Ang target namin, revised target for this year is 6 to 7%. And given the second quarter performance, with the economy expanded by 11%, So our target is that if the economy can grow at 8.2% in the second half of the year, makukuha natin yung 6%. That's still doable, given what we observed in the second quarter. And ang build naman ng gobyerno is it hasn't stopped, and we will continue that. And in fact, public construction during the second quarter grew almost 50%, 49.7%. And that's from a 25.3% growth in the first quarter. So pag sige-sige ka lang sa construction, makikita mo naman marami ng proyekto na natatapos at marami pang umpisahan. So that creates a lot of economic activities and a lot of jobs. So we're confident na doable pa yung 6% for this year. And in fact, next year, it's the forecast is that the economy will grow by at least 7%. Then babalik na tayo dun sa normal growth natin na 6 to 7%, 2023.
Bing has a lot of also a lot of questions to ask you. So I turn you over to Bing.
Morning, Governor. Gov, with the hard lockdown na na-impose ulit sa atin ngayon, ang tingin nyo ba, will this change your stance regarding being regarding interest rates? In fact, tingin ba nyo there's a possibility of even bringing down the interest rates even lower to be able to counter the effects of this hard lockdown na dinadaanan natin ngayon?
Alam mo, Bing, yung hard lockdown, short term lang naman yan. And in fact, kahit sinabing hard lockdown, I think if you compare this with what we did last year, medyo hindi naman to kasing hard, There's a lot of mobility still, So I agree that we need this because of the Delta variant, Kailangan natin talaga ito. To me, given our success in the vaccination, pwede na tayong mag-open up talaga We have to learn to live with the virus. So, as a banker, alam mo naman, kailangan you take the risk with that. Hindi pwedeng lockdown tayo ng lockdown. Dahil otherwise, the economy will not take off. Kasi to me, hindi naman pwedeng puro dole out ka ng dole out na ganyan eh. Dahil kailangan mo talaga trabaho. You have to start the economic activity para magkaroon ng mga trabaho. Admittedly, I think hindi tayo babalik doon sa dati nating ekonomiya. I think it will be illusory to think that we'll be back to where we were before. Parang, kasi there are really some industries na hindi siguro babalik ng gano'n kaagad. For example, yung tourism, gano'n. But there are some growth sectors. I think ngayon, napaka-dynamic ng BPO industry, di ba? With the digitalization that we have embarked on, magkakaroon ng marami activities doon. I think education will be much different than before. So I think, sabi ko nga, focus tayo in the short term sa vaccination. Pwede na natin buksan eh. I think we can even have some group activities as long as only those who are vaccinated will attend. Ganun. Kasi, for example, yung mga basketball games at volleyball games, napaka-dynamic yan nung pre-pandemic. Pwede na yun eh. Kaya lang, kailangan, before you can attend mga concert, ganun, dapat vaccinated ka. You have to show proof. That is being done in other countries, no? Siguro mga wedding, ibig mo lang 50, 100, kailangan vaccinated lahat. So we should learn to live with the virus.
Okay. So we have to take a pause for a while. We're having an interesting discussion right now. But we will be right back.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Oh, vaccination, isolation, gotta keep up with my nutrition, gotta maintain my body condition, then I can take my vaccination. What do I choose? What do I take? As long as it is not a fake. AstraZeneca, Moderna, BioNTech, even Sinovac, okay na. Babakuna ka ba? 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 Vaccination for the nation, no more isolation. With vaccination, babakuna ka ba? 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 Paturok, paturok, paturok.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga parties, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
We're back here in Straight Talk with our esteemed guest, BSP Governor Ben Diokno. Gov, are you there?
Yes,
Go. Yeah, Have we established a momentum and growth momentum since there are views that in the second quarter we contracted despite the 11.8% growth. The contraction was against the previous quarter. So
Well, alam mo, kasi ginagamit din ang tinatawag na quarter on quarter.
quarter on quarter.
Because of the pandemic, siguro inappropriate na yung methodology doon. I think we really have bounced back. And we have turned the corner. In fact, makikita mo naman yung sources of growth in both industry and manufacturing has gone up. Manufacturing rather and services has gone up. Medyo maliit lang yung growth ng agriculture. But yung public construction really grew by some 50%, no? And of course, merong nag-slow down yung government spending. But that's because of that, tinatawag natin, alam mo yung base effect. Kasi during the height of the pandemic last year, talaga namang gumastos ng katakot-takot ang gobyerno. So, mataas yung base na. But I think it's starting to show na meron talagang progress, no? For example, even yung mga more recent data na tinitingnan namin, yung mobility, no? Yung Google, tinitingnan mo yung Google. So, alam mo naman, ngayon nararamdaman mo na yung traffic, di ba? So ganun. So to me, there's really some progress, and so that is really our hope that we will be back to where we were before, on the aggregate, no? Meaning we will probably grow by about 6 to 7% on the normal, and then unemployment will be down to around 5%. In fact, at the moment, nag-rebound na yung ekonomiya natin, yung unemployment at the peak of the pandemic last year shrunk by 17.6%. Ganun kataas ang unemployment. Ngayon, bumaba na siya ng 7.7%. And in fact, it has created around 2.5 million additional jobs compared to the pre-pandemic level. So yung mga ganun na you're focusing on the quarter-on-quarter, ganun. To me, that's a pessimistic look at the economy. In fact, the economy is sound even when the pandemic hit us. Alam mo, yung trajectory ng poverty incidence, that is one of the objective of the Duterte administration, to reduce poverty incidence to 14.5% by 2022. Muntik na nating ma-attain yun kung hindi lang nagkaroon ng pandemic. Tapos yung isa pa is yung employment, and we were also hoping at that time to be an upper middle income economy. Yun, muntik na rin nating ma-hit yun. And isa pang magandang basis dyan is yung credit rating natin, international credit rating. So Fitch, sa S&P, Moody's. Alam mo, during last year, ang daming downgrades. Not only in the rate, in the outlook, but also in the rating. Tayo, steady lang tayo. That shows confidence na after this pandemic, which we consider to be just transitory, we'll be back to where we were before.
Optimism is still high, I hope.
Oh yeah. Yes. Alam mo kasi, to me, ang secret weapon natin is the young population of the Philippines. Ang median age natin is 24. And these are tech-savvy. Most of them are English-speaking. So, in fact, yung benta natin sa mga overseas Filipino workers, yung those who work in the vessels, yung mga barko, karamihan Pinoy. Bakit? Kasi marunong sila magbasa ng instruction sa English, di ba? At saka, I think hygienic yung mga Pinoy. Naliligo lagi sila, di ba? Medyo,
so that's a factor.
Nice kung nasa loob ka ng barko, hindi ka naliligo, di ba? So, yun, I think that's the selling point. And tapos ngayon, with this pandemic, napaka-attractive yung mga nurses natin, mga doctors. No? So, I think looking forward, I think we should spend a lot of lot of our money, resources, training nurses, doctors, med specialists, etc. Looking ahead. And then siguro ginagawa na naman natin to, I think we should have our own laboratory here for the vaccines sa Pilipinas.
So, naging good thing pala yung nagkaroon tayo ng surplus ng mga health workers before the pandemic.
Oh yes. Tapos alam mo, isa pang one thing that we were doing before nagkaroon ng pandemic is yung digitalization. Kasi that was my program na sabi ko, I want the Philippine economy to be cash light rather than cash heavy. So ang objective namin is that before the end of my term, which is 2023, 50% of all retail transactions should be in digital form. 50%. Ngayon, because of the pandemic, baka malapit na tayo dun di ba? So yung PesoNet at saka InstaPay, the use of those two medium or media of financial transactions, pagganap, yung paggamit ng checking ngayon, halos wala na gumagamit ng checking ngayon So with the digitalization, and yun na yung objective namin, we will have less cash or digital payments. I think that has also helped us, no?
Governor,
Yes,
can I ask a question related to digitalization, Governor? No? Kasi
Good.
ang intindi doon is that what I've been reading, correct me if I'm wrong, Governor, that interoperability is a concern of some players. No? In other words, ang intindi ko doon, maybe you can explain it better for us, the ability for the different banking system to sort of interconnect para pag isang transaction, diretso-diretso na, rather than
Correct.
parang fragmented ngayon. Now,
Yeah.
ang intindi ko, Governor, kung gano'n ang situation natin, what is really required is parang to open up the systems or to allow different players to sort of access, to make it very smooth. Now, sa Europe, my understanding is that in fact, mandated ang mga banko to open up. The big banks are mandated. Sa atin, of course, I don't think we've reached that stage na parang we're already just trying to get the banks to think about it. No? But really, for practical purposes, do you think it will really open up? Will the banks, the big banks particularly, magbubukas ba talaga sila to allow the smaller fintech players to access? Because that's their turf. So, is there a possibility that you'll reach a point, sabihin nyo, hindi, kailangan kayo magbukas?
Alam mo, ngayon, at the moment, interoperable na tayo sa You can, so kung halimbawa, supplier mo na sa isang bangko, gusto mo maglipat ng pera sa Bank A ka, supplier mo na sa Bank B, you can transfer money now. Interoperable na tayo. In fact, it's again, we're thankful to the banking industry. Pumayag sila na gano'n, no? So pwede ka na both sa PesoNet at saka InstaPay, interoperable na tayo. And in fact, ang pinag-uusapan na namin ngayon, yung mga malalaking central banks dito sa Asia ay magiging interoperable na nga yung ang tawag doon cross-border. So yung mga bangko sa Thailand at saka bangko sa Singapore we can deal with them using the same payment system. At tapos meron tayong bagong bangko ngayon, yung tinatawag, yung dating Postal Savings Bank. We converted it into a digital bank. No? It is now a subsidiary bank of Land Bank, Overseas Filipino Bank. It's a digital bank. So kung ako is, for example, isang OFW, magbubukas ako ng account sa kung saan man ako naroon, pwede ako mag-transfer sa Pilipinas, walang charge. So that is makaka-benefit yan dun sa mga around 10 million Filipinos abroad. Ganun. So ano na tayo po, interoperable na tayo. So within Philippines, ang pinag-uusapan namin ngayon ay may mga cross-border transactions. And we're moving in that direction.
Okay. Governor, other than fund transfers that are interoperability already right now, yung mga ibang types of transactions that typical consumer would like to do online. No? Halimbawa, bibili sila ng produkto sa isang particular supplier. They go through e-wallets, no? Hindi ba pwedeng magkakaroon situation na immediately naka-debit na yung kanyang account sa isang bangko? rather than dadaan pa sa ibang mga systems. Mga ganun
Pwede rin yan. Actually, okay na rin yun eh. In fact, you can use yung PayMaya mo at saka yung GCash mo, naka-tie up yung sa isang account mo. So, pwede mo lipatan yung wallet mo from that bank. Meron ng ganun. And tapos ang isa pang development ngayon ay yung tinatawag na yung, of course, yung e-gov, no? Pwede ka na magbayad ngayon ng tax mo, pwede kang bayad sa LGUs ng mga permits mo using digital payment. Hindi ko na kailangan. In fact, wala na nagbabayad ngayon ng tax through yung pipila ka sa biyaya. Wala nang nagbabayad mo ngayon. You can do it digitally. And this is also through the land bank. No? So, meron din tayong tinatawag na, isa pa pala, nakalimutan ko, yung QR code. Yun magagamit mo yun sa mga small transactions, even large transactions, except pagka small transactions, wala nang fee. So, halimbawa, bibili ka lang naman ng kamatis o kaya vegetables sa palengke, may QR code yung nagbebenta, pwede na yun. Meron na tayo ngayong mga tricycle at saka mga jeepney ngayon, pwede na rin yung QR code. No? So, we're moving really in that direction. So, kahit ka walang bank account, pwede kang mag-transact.
Okay.
Kailangan lang may pondo yung e-wallet nyo, hindi ba? Ganun ho yatang sistema yun eh. In other words, bago
Tama yan. Naka-tie up dun sa isang, but meron kami tinatawag na basic deposit account and we are trying to sell this to the bank. Sabi ko, you allow this, alam mo yung basic deposit account, you can open an account as low as 100 pesos, walang hindi yung, di ba, pag hindi gumagalaw yung account, masasara, may penalty, walang ganon. So it's really a very convenient account especially for our unbanked population. So binibenta namin yan. Binibenta namin sa mga, siyempre wala naman masyadong kikitain ng mga malalaking bangko doon, di ba? But, give it to the rural banks, the Greek banks, and even the big banks. We encourage them to open, to let their customers open a basic deposit account. Pwede mong doon itatay up yung mga e-wallet.
Yeah. Gob, how about the peso? What are your projections on it? Will it weaken or will it continue with its current trajectory?
Alam mo, yung peso, we do not target a specific exchange rate level. No? We let kasi ang tinatawag namin dito is the flexible exchange rate policy, which will allow the exchange rate to fluctuate depending on demand and supply conditions. So, pumapasok lang kami kung medyo may mga sharp fluctuations. Diyan lang kami pumapasok. Our best defense, if you compare the peso with our other currencies, we're in the middle. Kaya sa tingin natin nagde-depreciate ang piso ngayon dahil lumalakas yung US dollar. But if you really look at it, we are in the middle of all these fluctuations. Ngayon, our best defense, and nakita ko ito kasi I've been in government for almost 40 years, no? Is the strong external payments position. Yung tinatawag namin, for example, yung gross international reserves. In the past, nauubusan tayo niyan eh. Kapag magkakaroon ng crisis, we run out of dollars to pay our debt. And then as a result, kailangan mo taasan yung interest rate dahil to stem the outflow of the dollar. No? Ngayon, hindi na natin kailangan gawin yun kasi napakadami na natin dollars ngayon. We have a hefty gross international reserves equivalent to 1 year's worth of imports. Ang rule of thumb dyan, ang receipt doctrine, sabi ko ito nung nagtuturo pa ako, ay 3 months worth of imports is enough. No? Tayo more than a year ang ano natin. Plus, ngayon, unlike before, meron tayong steady inflow of foreign exchange through our overseas Filipino remittances. Ano mo? Easily $30 billion yun. Tapos napaka-dynamic pa ng business process outsourcing, receipts, na ngayon dahil because of the digitalization, lalakas din yan. And patuloy pa rin naman lumalago yung foreign direct investment. So we have no worry about the possible depreciation of the peso. The peso is in fact at one point last year the strongest currency in this part of the world. No? Ngayon medyo gumagalaw na konti, but we let it move according to supply and demand conditions.
So, Gov, I'll let Mr. Matoto ask the last question.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of meetings coming today.
Siguro ang last question ko, Governor, tungkol dun sa yung ating being back in the gray list sa PATAF. Anong gagawin natin tungkol doon, Governor? No? We've got, I think, a certain period of time to be in compliance. No? Ano kaya ang tingin yung mga major issues na kailangang i-tackle?
Alam mo, sa background, we underwent what we call the third mutual evaluation. Ito yung pinaka-recent. And that came after yung RCBC event. No? Medyo tinamaan tayo dun. But in the first and second evaluation, ang laging nakafocus lang is the technical compliance. In other words, may mga batas ba kayo na against anti-money laundering? So we have actually complied with that. In fact, pinasa natin yung Anti-Terrorism Act, and then we amended the anti-money laundering to include ngayon kasama na yung mga real estate transactions, etc. And then we issued the appropriate rules and regulations na nire-required. Kaya lang, this time, in third evaluation, they are asking for a demonstration of the effectiveness. So meron na kayong batas, you have to show na you are implementing it effectively. Wala pa naman tayong oras kasi kapapasa lang ng mga ibang batas na ito. So that's where we are right now. And luckily, we have... because this really requires all of government approach. No? So meron tayong tinatawag na yung grupo na-create namin, yung NAC, no? Yung National AMLCFT Coordinating Committee or NACC. Ang chairman nito ay si Executive Secretary and I'm the Vice Chairman as Central Bank Governor. And so we can solicit the commitment of various government agencies. Kasi may mga ibang kailangan mapakita natin doon sa namamahala nito na we are effectively implementing the existing laws on anti-money laundering. So we're given hanggang January 2023 to do all these things. No? Some 18 measures. So bakit hanggang bakit hanggang January 2023? Kasi pinakita namin na merong intervening election eh. Baka magpapalit ng mga tao, di ba? So yung mga nag-i-implement ito, papalitan sila. So just to make sure na hindi tayo mag-disrupt as a result of that change in administration. And they agreed with us, no? So that's where we are right now.
Sabi ba, Gov, yung repeal ng Bank Secrecy Act sa 18?
Hindi na meron na kasi na-realize nila na yung AMLAC Secretariat can actually look at the individual accounts kung kailangan. We show that Although, kung tayo ay, alam mo, napakahirap talaga yung batas na yan no? We are the only country in the world na meron pang ganyang batas. Okay? Dati dalawa lang tayo naiiwan, Lebanon at saka tayo. Nauna na tayong Lebanon, ni-repeal na nila yung bank secrecy. Ang kaso, ang hirap talagang hingin sa Kongreso. Pero meron naman, so they are convinced na yung ating AMLAC Secretariat has that power, except you have to go to court to request for that specific action. So, pinadmit na nila, pwede na yan. in lieu of. But to me, the first best solution is repeal natin yun. Mas maganda yun.
So
Salamat,
that's we can go on for hours. So we had a really good discussion with the governor, Bing. But I guess we have to let him go. There's a lot of a lot of commitments to do for a BSP governor. So this is Chito Lozada and Mr. Bing Matoto. We had a very good discussion with the BSP governor, Ben Diokno. And this is, so we say goodbye for now. This is Straight Talk.
Salamat, Grog.
Thank you. Keep
you.
safe and well.